Hare Krishna. Sorry, I'm a couple of minutes late. I thought I'll just finish my rounds and then start the class. I was in between the last round, so sorry about that. Hare Krishna. Thank you all. So we'll just begin with a small kirtan. That's okay with all of you.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. 1 minute. I'm just setting the. Yeah. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tirabanachari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tirabanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tirabanachari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Munatirabhanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tirabanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe. Jaya Radha Gopi Vallabha Radha Gopi Vallabha Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jaya Jagannatha Jagannatha Baladeva Jaya Subhadra Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Nayana Patagami Bhava Tume Jagannatha Swami Nayana Patagami Nayana Patagami Bhava Tume Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Gaura Hari Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Nitai Gorango Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari Patita Pavana Padita Pavana Padita Pavana Gaura Hari Patita Pavana Patita Pavana Padita Pavana Padita Pavana Gaura Hari Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jai Jai Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jai Jai Gurudev Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nittai Gaura Hari Bol श्री श्री राधा मदन मोहन की जय श्री राधा गोपी वल्लभ की जय श्री राधा वृंदावन चंद्र की जय श्री राधा गोपीनाथ की जय श्री राधा माधव की जय श्री राधा गोविंद की जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा माई की जय श्री निताय गौरंग भगवान की जय श्री लक्ष्मी नरसिंह स्वामी प्रहलाद महाराज की जय श्री एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय श्री ब्रह्म मध्व गौड़ गुरु परंपरा सांप्रदाय की जय निताय गौर हरि प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोस्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचना गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः पंकजनाभाय नमः पंकजमालिने, नमः पंकजनेत्राय नमस्ते पंकजांग्रे। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते, कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिषे नमः। नमो ब्राह्मण्याय देवाय गौ ब्राह्मण हिताय च जगद्दिताय कृष्णाय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। नमः ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादि पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद, श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। चेतोदर्पणमर्जनं भवमहद्वाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयकैरिव चन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दं बुद्धिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतस्वादनं सर्वत्मस्थापनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनं। नामकारि बहुडानि च सर्वशक्तिस्तत्रातिपा नियमिता स्मरणेन काल एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमिदृशम् इह जाननुरागः। तृणादपि सुनिचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमाननीय मानदेन कीर्तनय सदा हरि। न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये, मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतद्भक्तिरहोैतकी त्वयि। ऐनन्दतनुज किङ्करपतितमां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजधूलिसदर्शं विचिन्तया नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदरुधाय गिरा पुलकिर्निचितं वपुगदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति। युगायितं निमिषेण चक्षुषा प्रवर्षायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दं विरहे न मे। आश्लिष्य वा पादरतं पिनस्तु मामादर्शनं मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा विदहतो लम्पतो मात् प्रणनाथास्तु एव नापरा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हुकुम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघयते गिरिं यत्कृपः तमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरु दीनतारिणं श्रीपरमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरम्। ओम पवित्रो पवित्रो वा सर्वावस्थं गतोऽपि वा यत्स्मरेत् पुण्डरीकाक्ष सभ्यभ्यन्तरं शुचे। श्रीविष्णु श्रीविष्णु श्रीविष्णु। Hare Krishna, Prabhus and Matajis, thank you very much for joining today's morning Bhagavatam class. I'm so grateful that with your participation, you are encouraging me and my family to serve, especially me, the lazy person who has to get up early in the morning and finish my rounds and do a Bhagavatam. What can be better than this? Right? Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Padma Mataji, Akinchan Pre Prabhu, Shubha Kumari, Dandot Pranam, Praveen Prabhu and Puja Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Hare Krishna. Ram Reddy Prabhu, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Subhara Prabhu and Nirupama Mataji and whole glorious family, Dandot Pranam. Praveen Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Suma Mataji, Dandot Pranam. All your family. Hare Krishna. Maheshwar Prabhu, Hari Bol, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam.
Mahalingamaya Prabhuji, Dandot Pranam. Hare Krishna. Chandramoli Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Raja Nomula Prabhu, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Sanjay Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. And there is one iPhone Prabhuji. I don't know who is it. Prabhuji or Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Saraswati Mataji, Dandot Pranam. Surinder Prabhu also, Dandot Pranam. Chintakuntla Srinivas Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam, Hare Krishna. Rajesh Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Thank you for joining.
Dandot Pranam.
Vandala Mataji, Dandot Pranam Mataji. Revati Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Raju Prabhu and Shirsha Mataji, Dandot Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guru Janat.
Yeah, Madhavi Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Prasad Prabhu also. Prasad Prabhu also, Dandot Pranam. Soumya Mataji, thank you for joining, Dandot Pranam, Hare Krishna. Teja Mataji and the Srinivas Acharya Prabhu and whole family, Advait, such a nice Mangal Arati, you made us participate. Very, very grateful, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji. Thank you, sir.
Hare Krishna. And Raja Ramesh Prabhu and Tulsi Mataji, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Mataji, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Amit Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
Dandot Pranam, Prabhu.
Yeah, Dandot Pranam to your wife also, Prabhuji. Nirupama Mataji, Dandot Pranam Mataji. Hari Bol. Srinivas Devata Prabhu. Oh, Giriraj Prabhu, Dandot Pranam, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Shri Giriraj Prabhu, Punna Mataji, Dandot Pranam Mataji, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. Kiran Babu Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam. Survi Mataji and Nilesh Prabhu. Nilesh Prabhu
Hare
and
Krishna,
Survi
Prabhuji.
Mataji
Dandot
ki
Pranam.
Nilesh Prabhu and Survi Mataji ki jai. Dandot Pranam. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna. Yeah, from Nasik, Mataji and Prabhuji who are joining. Dandot Pranam. I'm not able to see your name. Siddhi Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandot Pranam,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna Mataji. Shilpa Mataji and Ajay Prabhu. Dandot Pranam. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Dandot Pranam, Prabhuji.
Vivek Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dandot Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandot Pranam.
You're tolerating me for the last 6 years. I don't know how you're doing.
No, Prabhuji.
You're the oldest. You're like the older, one of the oldest in the group.
No, Prabhuji.
Anuradha Mataji, Dandot Pranam Mataji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Anandram
Krishna,
Prabhu,
Hare Krishna.
Charanya Mataji and Smriti Mataji, Dandot Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Dandot Pranam, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Dasraj Prabhu, Hare Krishna, your whole family, glorious family, Prabhu, Dandot Pranam Prabhuji. And you're wonderful two Lavakushas, Dandot Pranam to them. Hari Hari, so nice to meet all of you on the morning. Padma Mataji from Bangalore, Hari Bol, Dandot Pranam Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So happy to see all of you. What can be more joyful? So we together will read Bhagavatam now. Okay. So today we'll discuss about a prayer of Bhishma Dev, which has a lot of intrinsic meaning behind it. So we'll try to do that prayer. Please repeat after me. I'm just sharing my screen. 1 minute. I'll just hide this. Yeah. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah. 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. Canto 1, chapter 9, 15th verse. Prayers of Bhishma Dev. Please repeat after me. Yatra dharma suto raja.
Yatra Dharma Raja.
Yatra dharma suto raja.
Yatra Dharma Suto Raja.
Gada panir vrikodhara.
Gada
Panir
Vrikodhara.
Gada panir vrikodhara.
Gada
Panir
Vrikodhara.
Krishno astri gandhivam chapam.
Krishna
Astri Gandivam Chapam.
Krishno astri gandhivam chapam.
Krishna
Astri
Astri
Gandivam
Chapam.
Chapam.
Suhrut Krishnas tato vipat.
Krishna Tato Vipat.
Suhrut Krishnas tato vipat.
Sudhur Krishna Tato Vipat.
Yatra dharma suto raja.
Yatra Dharma Suto Raja.
Gada panir vrikodhara.
Gada Panir Vrikodhara.
Krishno astri gada gandhivam chapam.
Krishna
Krishna
Astri
Astri Gandivam Chapam.
Suhrut Krishnas tato vipat.
Tato vipat.
Please repeat after me. Yatra,
Yatra,
where there is
where
there is
Dharma Sutta,
Masata,
the son of Dharmaraja,
the
son of
Raja,
Raja,
the king,
the king,
Gadapani,
Gadapani,
with his mighty club in hand,
with his mighty club in hand,
Vrikodaraha,
Vrukodara,
Bhima,
Bhima,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Arjuna,
Arjuna,
Astri,
Astri,
carrier of the weapon,
carrier of the weapon,
Gandivam,
Gandhi,
Gandiva,
Gandhi,
Chapam,
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 Bo,
Bo,
Suhrit,
Suhrit,
well-wisher,
well-wisher,
Krishna,
Krishna,
Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead,
Lord
Krishna, the personality of God,
Tataha,
Tata,
thereof,
thereof,
Vipat,
Vipat,
reverse.
reverse.
Translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
Please repeat after me. Oh, how wonderful is the influence
Oh, how wonderful is the influence
of inevitable time.
of inevitable time.
It is irreversible.
Reversible.
Otherwise,
Otherwise,
how can there be reverses
How
can there be reverses
in the presence of King Yudhishthira,
in the
presence of King Yudhishthira,
the son of the demigod controlling religion,
son of the demigod controlling
Bhima,
Bhima,
the great fighter with a club,
the great
great fighter with
the great bowman Arjuna,
the great
with his mighty weapon Gandiva,
his mighty weapon Diva,
and above all, the Lord,
the Lord,
the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas.
the direct
direct well-wisher
of the Pandavas.
Right? So I'll repeat the translation. Please, everybody focus and just keep everyone on mute for some time. Yeah, that's easy. Okay. So I'll repeat the translation. Please hear it carefully. Oh, how wonderful is the influence of inevitable time. It is irreversible. Otherwise, how can there be reverses in the presence of King Yudhishthira, the son of the demigod controlling religion, Bhima, the great fighter with a club, the great bowman Arjuna with his mighty weapon Gandiva, and above all, the Lord, the direct well-wisher of the Pandavas. Right? It is a very question. It's, the Bhishma Dev is speaking to Arjuna on his practically on his deathbed, on the arrows, and he is saying this verse to Yudhishthira, right? And he's actually giving confidence to Yudhishthira, his last instructions to Yudhishthira, and in this he's saying, how is it possible that you people are getting reverses in life, meaning something that you have planned and is going against, and something that is making your life miserable? How is it possible? You are the king of religion, you are son of king of religion, which is Dharmaraj, right? Swayam Yama's representative here. And, and then there is Vrikodhara, the most powerful, Herculean Bhima. And there is this unbeatable Kshatriya called Arjuna, in spite of being all of you. And on top of that, Swayam, personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, is your caretaker. How is it that you are getting reverses? Oh, that is inevitable time. That is the time. Aham kalosmi, part of Krishna's energy. Who can reverse you? Who can go against you? Right? So that is the kind of conclusion that Bhishma Dev is coming to. Now let's read the purport. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. As far as the material or spiritual resources were required, there was no scarcity in case of the Pandavas. Materially, they were well equipped because of two great warriors, namely Bhima and Arjuna, were there. Spiritually, the king himself was the symbol of religion. And above all of them, the personality of God, Lord Shri Krishna, was personally concerned with their affairs as the well-wisher. And yet, there were so many reverses on the side of the Pandavas. Despite the power of pious acts, the power of personalities, the power of expert management, and the power of weapons, under the direct supervision of Lord Krishna, the Pandavas suffered so many practical reverses, which can only be explained as due to the influence of Kala, inevitable time. Kala is identical with the Lord himself, and therefore the influence of Kala indicates the inexplicable wish of the Lord himself. Therefore, there is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. The bottom line is beautiful. Prabhupada is writing. There is nothing to be lamented when a matter is beyond the control of any human being. Hare Krishna. So let's try to keep this class today, a little more interactive. So Prabhuji and Matajis, you have read this verse now, right? In which Bhishma Dev is practically challenging and also concluding, right? That how is it possible that Pandavas can get reverses? It's practically it shouldn't be happening, right? I mean, if God is behind you all the time, right? Like how many of you will tell that Krishna is thinking about all of you, right? How many of you think that Krishna is thinking about all of you in the call? Well, we might say that he is, but we might doubt. Will he really think about me? Right? Will he really think about that? Doubt is there. But anybody who is chanting Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna is thinking about you, no doubt about it. But in case of Pandavas, not only is Krishna thinking about them, but he is their eternal associate. Pandavas are the eternal associates of Krishna. So if somebody is in care of such a great personality like Lord Shri Krishna, how can there be reverses in life? Right? How can there be difficulties for such people in life? So what do you all think, Prabhujis and Matajis? I want to hear all your opinion and then share a few things in these lines. What comes to your mind?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Shri Gopal Prabhu.
It is we who are seeing them as difficulties. Probably it is the Lord is just trying to. I mean, we perceive them as difficulties, but like some things we perceive as poison, but it is actually nectar. Similarly, something which we perceive as nectar is actually poison. So these difficulties might be coming to help them, Pandavas, actually, rather than I'm treating them as difficulties and problems for them. So that can be one perspective.
Hare Krishna, wonderful, Prabhu. That's a very high perspective.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Lovesh Prabhu, Dandavat Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Hare Priya Madhu, Dandavat Prabhu.
Charan Prabhu, one line that Krishna puts difficulty to great devotees for their glorification and for normal devotees for their purification.
Glorification and purification. Wonderful. Very nice, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Yes. Surabhi Mata is writing, this material world is about dualities for a person, but for devotees, it's not. But for devotees, it's not. Yeah. Yes, that's right. Thank you. Thank you, Surabhi Mataji. Anybody else? What comes to your mind?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Sorry, let me finish. So, Prabhuji, so I think even though you're a devotee, there is a providence and there is something that you need to, burn, and the karma, and Krishna is aloof of it. If it's up to you and whatever you have done in the past, birth, you have to go through it, and Krishna is there. It is something that you have to go through, Prabhu. What I think.
So you're saying that you have to go through it, even though Krishna is there. Yeah.
And the devotees will see it in a different way. That's what I would say. I think that's all already mentioned. Yes. For devotees, it's a benediction because they're going through it because they know that is something that they have to go through, so they don't worry about it.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice. See, one of the analogies I can give is a small child is being very naughty, and the mother, you know, cross beyond her tolerance, and she beats that child, takes a stick and beats that child, right? And the child is crying. But then the same mother, after a few minutes, comes to the child and say, "Okay, Ra, come like this," right? Immediately the child runs and hugs the mother, right? Because for the child, there is nobody else except the mother. Mother is his whole world, right? Mother can beat him, mother can hug him, mother can do anything with him. Because the relationship is totally surrendered relationship, right? But when the child grows up, he starts giving tantrums. Like, you beaten me, I'll not speak to you for 2 days. I'll go out of the house. Right? All that stuff he does. But when he's a child, when he's totally dependent and there is a loving relationship, mother has complete liberty to correct her child by beating him if needed, by scolding him if needed, and also hugging him to give back that love, right? So for a devotee, it's very acceptable to go through any situation because the loving relationship is like that. Even though there is so much going on in a devotee's life, he would just see Krishna and say, "Okay, Krishna, you are doing it right, but I'm very happy to see you, Krishna. Thank you. I'm very happy to see you. I'm remembering you," and that remembrance gives him happiness, right?
Hare
So,
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mataji. Yes, Mataji.
Prabhu, I think like whatever seem as reversals from materialistic point of view may not be actually reversals from spiritual point of view.
Yes. Yes, reversals from middle point of view are definitely not reversals from middle point of view. Actually, if you spiritual point of view, actually you really look at it, what are we losing and gaining in this world? We are fools if you really look at it. I mean, 100%, you know, like explicable fools we are. If we are thinking that we have gained something in this life, right? If you're thinking that I have some property, I have some money, and I think I've done something, we are fool already because that is not ours and that can be snatched away anytime, right? But unfortunately, Maya is so strong that we think that we have something in this material world. It's the biggest illusion, Pravidhan Mataji. Everybody is going through that, including Indra, Chandra, Varuna. You know, what do you call that? Yeah, Brahma. Brahma is getting bewildered with that. That he has something. He has something. He doesn't have anything. He comes from the navel. He comes from the navel. Is given a duty. He does the duty, and he goes back, right? And he sleeps, and then he merges back, and he goes back into Karanadaksha Vishnu, and like everybody is dependent on Krishna, isn't it? Everybody is dependent on Krishna. There is nothing in this world which cannot happen without Lord Krishna's sanction. But how devotees react to it and how non-devotees react to it is what we have to learn from. And the people who react to it in the most positive way, like devotees, are the people who are happy, isn't it? And the people who react to it in the most negative way are the people who are most unhappy. But let me tell you, lot of people look like the same devotees. The problem comes with lot of people just look like devotees, but ultimately devotees are surrendered to Krishna and other people are not surrendered to Krishna. You should be very careful in this aspect. Huh? When reversals come in life, even materialistic people seem to be calm. Right? Devotees also seem to be calm. But there is a difference. Devotees are surrendered and happy. Materialistic people are unhappy. I'll give you one example, Pravidhan Mataji. You also can come up with examples. Let's look at the lives of two great characters in Mahabharata, Gandhari and Bhishma. Right? Gandhari and Bhishma. We cannot compare them, but there are certain aspects you can compare. Right? Like, for example, Bhishma is a devotee of Krishna. Is Gandhari a devotee of Krishna? Prabhu, I don't know. You have that thing, right? I mean, she's a Shiva Bhaktini, no doubt. And she's a great chaste woman, no doubt. There's and Krishna himself glorified her chastity, isn't it? Krishna himself glorified her chastity. But let's look at it like this, that both of them were very dedicated to their caretaker or the main person whom they served, right? Bhishma was very, very affectionate to his father, and the kingdom that his father ran. Right? What was Bhishma's father's name? Anybody?
Shantanu.
Shantanu. He was so attached to his father and his father's happiness because he knew that his father went through a lot. Right? I mean, his 7 brothers were killed. Seven Vasus were killed in front of him before Bhishma took birth. And Bhishma knew that my father never had a proper peaceful relationship. And then when Satyavati came into his life, he felt that I think my father should now have a peaceful ending. He should get married. But in order for the marriage to happen, Bhishma did a great pratigya. We all know that Bhishma pratigya, right? He told, I am going to be a brahmachari for the rest of my life. Whole life I'll be a brahmachari. I will not have a lineage. I will not have my children and grandchildren. And since I will be a brahmachari, there is no question of my descendants becoming the king. The descendants coming from Satyavati will be the people who will rule the kingdom. And that's a big decision. And he also told that anybody who sits in the king's position, I will see him as my father. Right? I mean, that was not an easy pratigya, Prabhupada and Matajis. Bhishma was a very handsome, very strong, very, attractive, right, person. Anybody would be attracted to him. And he was trained in war. Where was he trained? He was not trained in some earthly planet. His mother Ganga took him to the celestial worlds and he got trained there. And he came back to the earth planet. Right? And then here Parashurama, Swayam Krishna Avatar was his guru. Right? He was the most eligible candidate who can represent Dharma. And what to speak, Bhagavatam glorifies him as one of the Mahajan, one of the great Mahajans who takes seat along with Lord Shiva in that 13 members. Isn't it? So we are not dealing with the ordinary, I'll just mute. Yeah. We're not dealing with the ordinary person, right? Here, Bhishma. Now, Bhishma did a big pratigya, isn't it? Bhishma is known for his pratigya, which we just discussed. What about Gandhari? Gandhari, we don't know her childhood, right? We don't know her, at least I have not heard much about that. But one of the glorious decisions of Gandhari was when Bhishma went to her kingdom, Gandhar, which is right now Kandahar or Afghanistan, right? That was part of Kandahar, the whole Gandhar kingdom. When Bhishma went there and asked for the king's daughter, Gandhari, and Gandhari is explained, she had the most beautiful eyes. She was known for that. And very beautiful woman. And the only daughter, most important, person in the family, Gandhari. And when Bhishma went to ask for her father was perplexed. How can I give my daughter to... First he thought he's giving his daughter to Pandu. Because Bhishma might have asked for Pandu, but Bhishma asked his daughter for whom? Dhritarashtra. And Dhritarashtra is a blind person. How can we give our daughter to a blind person? But they got scared looking at Bhishma and his army. It was not the intent of Bhishma to attack them, but in due respect to what Bhishma came for, they had to give the daughter. And that is the reason Shakuni, the brother of Gandhari, never forgave Bhishma. He wanted to destroy Bhishma, but he knows that he cannot destroy Bhishma. So he did everything in his power to, till his deathbed, he tried his best to give Bhishma the most miserable life. Because he felt his sister is going to get a miserable life by marrying Dhritarashtra. So I'll make sure that Bhishma, you are the reason for my sister to get married to this blind person. I am going to make sure that your life will be miserable. So actually, if you see, Mahabharata is a war between Shakuni and Bhishma. All the incidents that happened, the people in the background, right? So, well, coming back to Gandhari. Gandhari was such a great person that, she took a pratigya that if my husband is blind and that is the reason you think that I cannot marry him, I am also declaring myself as blind. Why should I have something that my husband does not have? Why should I see the world that my husband doesn't see? I am the servant of my husband, and I will remain so for the rest of it, and rest of this time in this body. I am going to be blind. Now, who is this? A beautiful princess of a great dynasty called Gandhar. She, without even seeing Dhritarashtra, took a pratigya that I am going to close my eyes forever. Even though Krishna gave me the power to see, even though God gave me the power to see, I'm not going to see. I'll be blind. Now, is that not extraordinary provision, Matajis? What do you all feel? Huh? How can a lady with all her might, such a beautiful lady, just make a decision that I'm not going to open my eyes for the rest of my life? Can anybody here in the call do it? Huh? Can anybody think of it? I'll give my eyes for Krishna.
Krishna.
Or forget about Krishna.
Hare
I'll give my eyes for my wife or for my husband. Huh? You'll not give.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad pranam.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, I read somewhere where like Gandhari did take a decision of closing her eyes, but actually she should become the eyes of.
Huh?
So now he is blind, queen is blind. Actually, she should become the eyes of Dhritarashtra. That will be better in her part. If she would open her eyes and just help Dhritarashtra see the world and take the right decisions.
Well, she tried. I'm going to discuss on that also, right? She did that. She was Shiva Bhaktini, and she was also somebody who was very, very, very what do you call that? Follower of Dharma also. She was following Dharma. And she tried her best. Now let's get into the second aspect, right? So as far as austerity and pratigya is concerned, the pratigya of Bhishma and the pratigya of Gandhari both are glorifiable, and both were glorified by Krishna. No doubt about it. Both were glorified. Now, second aspect of following dharma, Bhishma is known for clearly following dharma in his capacity and guiding his king to follow the dharma. Unfortunately, Dhritarashtra was such a blind person, not only by his eyes but also from his heart, that he could never agree to what Bhishma told. He could never agree, right? Because Shakuni in the background was pumping his, was motivating, or rather, fanning the ego that he should be the king. There was injustice done, and the justice is he should be the king, and his son should be the king, like that. So the envy was fanned. He was already envious, but it was fanned by Shakuni. And so because of that, even Gandhari, whenever she told that please give the kingdom to Pandavas, he never agreed. He said, what kind of a mother are you? Your son, Duryodhan, he is our son. He is the prince. Why should I not give the kingdom to prince? She told, no, that is not right. In fact, Gandhari is one of the persons who vouched finally for the split of the kingdom into Khandavaprastha and Hastinapur. She was the person who even suggested. And Bhishma is also the person who suggested finally that let us split the kingdom. Let us split the kingdom, for just to remain peacefully. A decision that was, that did not please anybody. Nobody was pleased, especially the people of Hastinapur were not pleased, but they made the decision, and both Gandhari and Bhishma supported the decision. That this blind fellow is not going to keep quiet. He is going to give something to his son. So, but we can't allow the Pandavas to be remaining without anything. So they should get something. They should get something, right? And they gave Khandavaprastha, which Pandavas, with their effort and blessings of Krishna, turned into Indraprastha. It was a desert given to them, but they converted that Khandavaprastha into Indraprastha, right? We all know the austerities that Pandavas went through. So now again, looking at Gandhari and Bhishma, both of them did great pratigyas. Both of them followed dharma, their own dharma in their capacity, being a very chaste wife. And they also advised the right things. Now and then, many times they advise the right things. In fact, look at the another similarity between both of them, favorable towards Pandavas, right? Favorability towards Pandavas is that when Yudhishthir came to take blessings from Gandhari, she said, Vijayo Bhava, she told. You will be victorious, she told. Now, what does it mean when you say Yudhishthir is victorious? What does it mean? There can only be one person victorious. There cannot be two. Either it has to be Pandavas or Kauravas. And she said Vijayo Bhava to Yudhishthir. And so did even Bhishma. Bhishma also did the same. He also told Vijayo Bhava to Yudhishthir. And both of them did not give that blessing to Duryodhan. Just look at that. Look at Duryodhan's might. Neither Bhishma, the most powerful, nor his own mother gave that blessing, Vijaya Bhava. She told Ayushman Bhava, because she is very fond and of course very affectionate to her own sons. She was attached to her sons, but she knew that he is doing adharma. She knew that he is doing adharma, right? Now, Prabhuji and Mataji, there are many more things we can discuss about these glorious souls, right? Bhishma was brought down and he was literally on the bed of arrows, right, on his deathbed, beaten up. I mean, that was not an ordinary situation. Horribly, physically, emotionally, psychologically, Bhishma was tortured to the maximum extent. It's like making a very good person do horrible acts, right? It's a very bad thing. Like, somebody who has good values, somebody who has come from good culture, somebody who is well educated, you ask him to do activities which will put him behind the bars. How difficult it is for him to do. Just imagine. But he did that because of his pratigya, which is something that Krishna condemned later. That Krishna told, how good is your pratigya when you had to save dharma? But that's also an example he gave for all of us to follow for future. But Bhishma, being a great devotee, he went through that. He was on the bed of arrows. So if there were, if for analogy, if I say that there were 100 arrows below Bhishma, there were many more. I'm just for analogy, I'm saying if there are 100 arrows pinching Bhishma from the bottom of his body, some of them passing through his body, right? So much pain he was going through, Prabhuji and Mataji's. So was Gandhari. 100 sons were killed. Each son's death was equal to an arrow piercing her. You understanding, Prabhuji and Mataji's? Just trying to compare both the lives. Even Gandhari was almost like emotionally on the bed of arrows because all her 100 sons were killed, right? Only one son was left at that time. That is Duryodhan till the last day. Otherwise, during the whole war, Dushasan, Vikarna, so many, everybody were killed. All of them were killed, right? So, Prabhuji and Mataji's, just see Bhishma and just see Gandhari. We're not compared, but we glorified certain common kind of acts that happened in both their lives. And both their lives were filled with austerity, tapasya only, tolerating adharma, seeing bad things. So now tell me, Prabhuji and Mataji's, looking at all these qualities, who is a devotee and who is a non-devotee? Are both of them devotees? I mean, devotees is the highest cadre. Gandhari and Bhishma.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah, Dasraj Prabhu.
Prabhu, please forgive me if I am not right. But what I feel is Bhishma comes under the category of the highest devotee, Because though Gandhari has sacrificed a lot, eventually she could not understand who is God and what are his deeds. So she cursed him at the end of the Mahabharata war.
Yeah, that's the difference. That is the difference. Thank you, for you. That's what I was coming to. Prabhuji and Mataji, that is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. Right? That is exactly what I was coming to. And that is exactly what Bhishma is telling on the bed of arrows. That Bhishma went through all these things. Bhishma went through all these things. On the bed of arrows, what did he ask the Yudhishthira to do? What did he ask Yudhishthira to do? He said, glorify Krishna. Glorify Krishna. Sing thousand names of Krishna, he told. Right? At the last end of his life, before he gave up his body, he said, please chant Vishnu Sahasranama. Right? Chant the 1,000 names of God before I leave my body. I want to keep seeing the lotus face of the Supreme Lord and then leave my body. Right? That is the gloriousness of a devotee. Whereas Gandhari had all the great qualities, chastity, surrender, everything. But at the end, what did she do? And she also knew who is God. She also knew who is Krishna. She knew who is Krishna. In fact, Acharyas explain that Gandhari was actually going to curse Bhima and Arjuna. Gandhari was very, very ready. She was like ready that next time I'm going to see Bhima and Arjuna, I'm going to curse him. I'm going to curse them. Right? She was ready. Acharya explained. And Krishna knew about that Gandhari is going to curse Bhima and Arjuna. Because Bhima and Arjuna are the reason for all her sons to die. And all the great warriors who were supporting her sons to die. And Gandhari was also very upset about Karna being killed by Arjuna. She was very upset because Karna's wife was very close to Gandhari. And she saw Karna's wife weeping and crying on the deathbed of Karna when he was not killed in the most glorious way. He was not killed in the most glorious way. He was killed unarmed, right, by Arjuna. And when Karna's wife was crying, Gandhari saw that and she was very angry on Arjuna. She was ready to curse Arjuna and Bhima. And because Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, knows that, he went before the war ends to Gandhari and he pacified her and he took the responsibility. See, that is the Supreme Lord. How he saves his devotees. Prabhupada Maharaj, see, he himself accepted a curse just to let go and the curse not to come to Arjuna and Bhima. She was capable even of cursing Yudhishthir. Acharya explained. But most anger she had was on Bhima and Arjuna. Very angry. I'm not going to tolerate. Right? Like that. She had so much anger. So then Krishna went and Krishna explained that whatever happened is destiny. And there are some things beyond your control. And we did our best to control. And we did our best to explain your son not to do the war. But your son did not accept it. So Krishna was giving many reasons. Philosophically, everything Krishna knew that she's very angry. As a mother, she's going to curse. But Krishna wanted that curse not to happen to the Pandavas. Because Prabhus and Matajis, Krishna told, Aham tvam sarva papebhyo moksheshyami masucha. Arjuna, sarva dharman parityaja. Just work for me and I'll take care of you. Didn't he say that? And Krishna did that till the end. He did not allow a single curse to come to the Pandavas. He took the curse. And who gave that curse? Gandhari. Now, this is the difference, Prabhuji and Matajis, between a devotee and a non-devotee. I'll not term Gandhari as a non-devotee. Or rather, I would say that she could not achieve that ultimate perfection of a devotee, the highest form of devotion, where she saw the reversals as something relevant to her. She saw all the children being killed as something relevant to her, whereas nothing is relevant to her. Look at Draupadi's children. Draupadi's children were killed by Ashwadhama while they were sleeping. 5 sons of Ashwadhama were killed while they were sleeping. Their heads were beheaded. And when Ashwadhama was brought in front of Draupadi, she did not curse him. Instead, she stopped Arjuna and Bhima from killing him. She said, this person, Ashwadhama is a Brahman. I will not allow you to do Brahmana Hatya. And he is also the only child of Kripi. Kripi is the wife of Drona, and she is the sister of Kripacharya. She said he is the only son of Kripi, Mother Kripi, and how can we allow her to become barren? How can we her to lead a life without a son? I know the pain of sons being killed. All my sons are killed. As a mother, I know that pain. I can't give that pain to another mother. What a heart. Just think about it. What a heart she had to do that. Not ordinary. Draupadi did not ask everybody to be killed. She was very angry on Duryodhan, Dushasan, and some of the other people. But Bhima is the one who decided to kill all the Kauravas. For that matter, she would not even want Gandhari to become childless. She would not want that. But that is the heart of a devotee of Krishna. See the difference between Gandhari and Draupadi also. And it is explained, Prabhuji and Mataji, that Krishna was so pleased by Draupadi when she did this that Krishna cried. The Supreme Personality of Godhead had tears in his eyes flowing down, and he glorified Draupadi that, hey Draupadi, what a mother are you? What a woman are you? There can be nobody like you. How can you pardon somebody who has brutally, unethically, adharmic way, he has killed your sons, warrior sons, glorious sons? How can you pardon? Even Krishna told, even I don't have the heart that you have. Just see how he's glorifying. I mean, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, he is saying, even I don't think I can forgive what you have done. Krishna doesn't forgive if anything happens to his devotee. If anybody causes any harm to his devotee, Krishna doesn't pardon. But Gandhari did. Sorry, Draupadi did.
Prabhuji,
But
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Gandhari could not. Gandhari could not. Sorry. Yes, Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhuji, to interject, but was that the right thing to do, Prabhuji? I mean, I can understand it was a very large-hearted, mindset, but was it the right thing to do?
Sometimes, Mataji, more than right and wrong, it is what pleased Krishna. See that thing, how Krishna was pleased by her act of seeing the motherly aspect and pardoning. Right? That definitely pleased Krishna. I don't think that is the right act personally, but ultimately Krishna was pleased. So if Krishna is pleased, it is definitely the right act. Right? Because when Arjuna wanted to pardon Kauravas before the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna was not pleased. Right? Krishna was not pleased with that. He said, no, they have to be punished. You have to hear the Bhagavad Gita, you have to go and do what is needed. But in case of Draupadi, when she pardoned Ashwadhama, Krishna was pleased. Because there is a level of dharma which we may not be able to understand, but level of sacrifice that we may not be able to appreciate, but what she exemplified, Krishna was so much pleased by that. Right? Whether that's the best thing to do, I don't know. But ultimately, Krishna punished Ashwadhama. Krishna did not leave Ashwadhama. Ashwadhama did not stop with that. He continued to have the same envy against Pandavas, that he wanted to kill the last person in the dynasty, and he tried to kill Parikshit in the womb of Uttara. And then Krishna said, this is nonsense now. Now, Draupadi pardoned you. She left you alone in spite of all this, and still you did this. You are not pardonable now anymore. So Krishna
That's
punished.
my point. That's my point, Prabhuji. I mean, of course, I mean, in this, Krishna is there, so we can stay at peace. But if you take that analogy in the real world, right, those people are not going to be reformed. Right, Prabhuji?
Yeah, they're not going to be reformed, but um, the gloriousness of forgiving somebody is any given day greater than punishing. That is always there. That is one principle of dharma which is always the greatest. But at the same time, Krishna also told that punishing somebody is important when it is about lifting dharma, right? So both the things happened in Mahabharata. Krishna also glorified the aspect of forgiving. Remember one thing, that Krishna went to compromise also. Krishna went to compromise also before Mahabharata. What if the whole compromise would have happened? Then where is Mahabharata? Where is Bhagavad Gita? So was Krishna supporting Kauravas for what they did if they would have compromised with Pandavas? No, right? Krishna was not supporting. Then why did he go for compromise? Why did he give so many options? Right? Because Krishna also did not want the violence. Violence is not something that even Krishna wants. How can Krishna see his own children killing each other? He would not want. He gave the last chance. But he wanted to also lift the principle that a person who has done adharma against women have to be punished. That was also there. That was a promise he gave to Draupadi. Right? So being God is something that none of us can understand why God does what he does. That's exactly what Bhishma is telling on the deathbed. Right? Hey Krishna, your leelas are unimaginable. You yourself, your energy, inevitable time is doing things which are irreversible. And even though your devotees are as glorious as Arjuna and Bhima and Yudhishthira, they are still seeing reversals in life. Right? A devotee accepts that inconceivable part of God, where he even pardons and where he even punishes. So I don't think we can judge or understand whether the act was right or wrong. But it was something that pleased Krishna for what Draupadi did. And that ends there. But then Krishna did finish it by punishing Ashwadhama. So I don't know more than that, Madhu. Maybe you can ask somebody senior to ask. Your question is basically, was it the right thing to do? Well, in one angle it is not, but in one angle Krishna felt it is right. So how can we? I don't know. Beyond this.
Yeah, that's fine, Prabhuji. I understand.
Sometimes Krishna does things that we in our position cannot conceive, right? So, but understand the fundamental aspect of what we are discussing here, Prabhuji and Mataji, that who is a devotee? Bhishma is a devotee. Gandhari is not. Ultimately, what did Gandhari do? After all the dharma that she spoke about, after all the austerities that she went about, after all the chastity that she showed to the whole world for her husband, after the tapaswini cadre that she got, after she pleased Lord Shiva, ultimately what did she do? She cursed Krishna. Isn't it? She cursed Krishna. She should not have done that. She knew whatever happened is right. And she knew that was going to happen. But she cursed Krishna. But Bhishma did not curse Krishna. Prabhuji and Mataji, there is a big difference. Mataji and Prabhuji, this aspect of somebody, not being a devotee and being a devotee is very important to know. Lot of people, they judge devotees sometimes. People who have surrendered their lives for Krishna, they judge them, comparing them with philanthropists and good, so-called good people of this world. That's where I'm trying to come to. You cannot compare. You cannot compare. Even though a person has done Annadanam for his entire life, even though he has given all his properties for social service, even though he has done, he has lived a very poor man's life, even though he has done all charity throughout the world, even though he was glorified by thousands of people for his renunciation, you cannot compare him to a devotee unless he has surrendered to Krishna in all situations. You cannot compare him to devotee. A devotee is uncomparable to anybody in this material world. Anybody. Don't give that cadre of devotee to anybody. People do that sometimes. Sometimes when people, I had so many instances, Prabhuji, what Prabhuji, those people are so, actually materialistic people are better than devotees. People speak like that. Nonsense. They speak like that. How can a materialistic person better be? Okay, if you are comparing materialistic person to me, Lilananda, yes, because I'm not still a devotee. But how can you compare him to a devotee? A devotee is somebody who has completely surrendered himself to Krishna. How can you compare him to a devotee? You cannot compare him to a devotee. A devotee is different. He is surrendered and sold out to Krishna till his deathbed. In all situations, Gajendra, Prahlada, look at them. They were being killed. Even on the deathbed, they didn't leave the confidence on Krishna. They continued. Yatha tata havidagato lampato mat prananata sweva napara. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, you hug me, you throw me, you ignore me, Krishna, you are my supreme worshipable Lord. That is called pure love of a devotee. Ainanda tanuja kinkaram patitamam vishame bhavam buddhau. Tava pada pankaj tadhuli sadarsham vichintaya. Just let me be a morsel of dust at your lotus feet, life after life. Hey Nanda's son. That is the consciousness of a devotee. He doesn't expect anything, doesn't want any recognition. But unfortunately, people of this world compare a materialistic, philanthropic person to a devotee. A devotee is uncomparable, you cannot compare. Even though all reversals happen in a devotee's life, he will never show his anger on Krishna. And even if the anger comes, sometimes the devotee might go in front of the altar and say, "What nonsense, Krishna, why are you doing?" But he still surrendered to him. He still surrendered to him. That's a reciprocation of love between a guru and shishya, between God and a devotee, between mother and a son, father and a son. That can happen. A devotee can go and argue. A devotee can go and have a peace of mind with Krishna in his deity form or even in pratyaksha form. But that doesn't mean he's not surrendered. Right? Did you all understand what we discussed, Prajan Mataji? Any thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, yesterday His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj was telling a similar thing. He told in the most sorrowful situation, if a devotee cries in front of Krishna and in that crying, he chants the holy name of the Lord, that is the most joyful thing he is having, although in the most sorrowful situation.
Yes.
So, very apt. Thank you, Prabhuji.
It's very difficult, Prabhu. We can't enact that. Let me also tell you all. We can't fake it. We can't fake it. We cannot fake it. It comes. It is given by Krishna. That power to be sincere, that power to love him in all circumstances is given by Krishna to his sincere devotees. We can't fake it. Prabhuji and Matajis, we all will be tested. It is very easy to speak philosophy in this call. We all will be tested. Right? At that testing moment, we should remember, do I want to act like Gandhari or do I want to act like Bhishma? We have to decide. Right? And that is why we should read Bhagavatam and associate devotees, because in that moment also, we will remember this conversation between Bhishma and Yudhishthira. in Bhagavatam and will never do what Gandhari did. You can say, yes, Gandhari did that as a Leela of Krishna, that Krishna wanted to glorify the chastity of the woman, and he wanted to take the curse from Gandhari so the whole Yadu dynasty can come down. That's all there. That is there, but still the act was done. Gandhari ultimately did it. She cursed Krishna. Prabhuji and Mataji, there are so many people who are misinterpreted by the materialistic people, not understanding, not having proper understanding of devotion. Sometimes people compare Arjuna and Karna and they glorify Karna. Karna is one sympathy bank. You can say Karna is one sympathy bank. He gets all his votes on sympathy. Right? What is his sympathy? He did not have a recognition of his father. His identity was a crisis, isn't it? Even though he was born as a Kshatriya, he was not accepted as a Kshatriya, right? And ultimately, he died very ingloriously in the war, right? That is how people speak about Karna, right? Karna. Then they speak of Dana Veera Sura Karna, right? Dana Veera Sura Karna. This is exactly what I was saying, right? Philanthropist. Karna was a philanthropist. He was born to Kunti. But why don't people see? Because this is what media showed, right? Karna. Oh, last Mahabharata in Star Plus, they had a big song on Karna also. 2 episodes, everybody crying, Karna is dying. How can he be glorified so much? He was not a devotee. Arjuna is a devotee. Pandavas are devotees. Prabhuji and Matajis, if we talk about certain aspects like identity, okay, he did not know whose son he was. Now I'm going to ask you a question, Prabhuji and Matajis. Karna did not know whose son he was. So he could not get the kingly, kingly facilities, right? He did not know whose son he was. Had he known that he was the son of Kunti, he would have been declared as a Kshatriya and he would have got great facilities of being a king. What about Pandavas? They knew whose son they were. They knew whose son they were. Still they were kept in forest. Now tell me what is more painful. Not knowing who is your father and remaining in forest, or knowing who you are and still thrown into the forest. Tell me, which is more difficult, Prabhuji and Matajis? Which is more difficult? Pandavas or Karna?
Pandavas.
Of course, Pandavas. Just think about it. You are the sons of the person who ruled the planet, Pandu. And still, you were brought up in forest, literally born and brought up in forest. And then you came to the kingdom, living literally like orphans, even in Hastinapur, scared to death when his own father's brother is planning every day how to kill these children and their mother. And Vidura and Bhishma trying to help them throughout the childhood. And just when they became big and better qualified than anybody else to take over the kingdom, send them to Varnavrat and then to forest. And just when they asked, given desert as a share of their property. And just when they developed the desert, thrown back into the forest by playing Dyuda. What kind of life is that? Nobody speaks about the difficulties of Pandavas. They speak about difficulties of Karna. And they compare and say Karna is sympathy vote. Give some sympathy vote to Pandavas also. Sympathy of Karna. Parents. Prabhuji and Mataji, all said and done, Karna had parents. He could call somebody as father throughout his life. Even though it was not his father, a charioteer took care of him. Dhritarashtra's charioteer was the one who found Karna. And then he resigned from that job and he left because he had to take care of Karna. And then Sanjaya became the charioteer of Dhritarashtra, replacement, job replacement. But this person still had a parents, still had a mother and father who rightfully took care of him, Karna. Who took care of Pandavas? Only mother, only mother. They never had a father. They never had a father. At the right years when they had to grow up, they never had a father. Only mother. Security. Okay, we talked about identity and we talked about having parents. Security. Tell me who was more secured in his position? Karna or Pandavas?
Karna.
Karna. The fellow had always security. When he came and he also got the kingdom, by the way. Karna got free kingdom. What is that kingdom name? Angadesh, Angaraj Karna. Angadesh was given to him free. Be a king. He was a king throughout. He every day enjoyed air condition. Right? He had no problem with wealth. Who are the people who never got wealth? You tell me. Pandavas. They had, but they never got. Of course, we cannot compare because Pandavas' real wealth is Krishna in their heart. But people, when I talk about materialistic people comparing a devotee and non-devotee, I really get surprised. How can they not see? How can they not see? They are telling that Karna giving him a sympathy vote. Where does he get eligibility to get a sympathy vote? Both Karna and Pandavas during their childhood were in jungle only. No doubt. Karna also went for a guru. He also stayed in Gurukul. Of course, he was cursed by his own guru because of lying. But at the same time, if you really look at it, can you compare Karna and Arjuna? And there are stupid movies made by some directors, some great actors like N.T. Ramarao is in them, glorifying Karna more than Arjuna. And there are a lot of people who give more sympathy vote to Karna than Arjuna. Do you know that? This is called people who never understood what is devotion and surrender. They don't understand what is devotion is. Only external aspects. Only external aspects. Prabhuji and Mataji, did Karna and Arjuna, both of them have access to Krishna? Did both of them have access to Krishna? Both had same access to Krishna. Both could go and learn from Krishna what Krishna is telling. But tell me something, who ultimately hurt to the order of Krishna?
Arjuna.
Arjun. Krishna told Karna also, Karna, you change your belt, you come back towards Pandavas and do the right thing. But he said, no, my pratigya is more important, that I will always be the friend of my friend. He was just thinking about friendship. On the other hand, Arjuna had to kill his family members. He had to kill his friends, family members, everybody, but he did that on the order of Krishna. After hearing Bhagavad Gita, he did it. Tell me something. If Karna would have been told Bhagavad Gita, would he have changed his army? If Karna would have told Bhagavad Gita, which is what Krishna did, he told what is dharma. In Bhagavad Gita, he told what is dharma. He told Karna, this is dharma. Here is dharma. Here is Pandavas. And by the way, Karna, they are your brothers. They are your brothers. Still, he did not change. That is the difference between a devotee and non-devotee. Mahabharata, Bhagavad Gita will only work on devotees, not on non-devotees. And people give sympathy or to, Karna.
Prabhuji, but one aspect we can see, like the devotees of Lord Krishna, like Bhishma, Guru Dronacharya, were with Pandavas. They were always with Pandavas, but not with Karna. So in that aspect, we can give sympathy vote to Karna, right? Because the devotees were not with them. With him.
But why they were not with him? Why they were not with him?
Since childhood they were, because he was not belonging to the royal family.
No, that is what TV serials have shown. That is the problem, Mataji. What we know is B.R. Chopra or Star Plus. Karna was not given education at the place, in Dronacharya's assembly, because he was not knowing how to respect a guru. He didn't know how to respect Drona. He did not have that quality. He saw a lot of arrogance. Drona saw a lot of arrogance in Karna. And what do TV serials show? That Drona felt that he'll become a better archer, so he was denied education. No. Karna went to Gurukul and told Drona that what is this your son doing in Gurukul when he's a Brahmana? If you can allow your son to be your Shishya, why not me? That was not a way to ask education. How do we go to a guru? We are so respectful to a guru. We go and say, Gurudev, please, though I'm not qualified, please give me this education. I'll use it according to your order. There was no humility in Karna when he went to ask for that education because he was so envious of Arjuna right from the beginning. And Drona could see there are many reasons. Of course, we can speak about that Drona and Karna aspect, in some other lecture in a long way. But Drona never lied Karna because of his envious nature towards Pandavas. He was. And Bhishma, so many times he told Karna, please don't pump up the ego of Duryodhan. There is somebody who is removing the mute. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So Bhishma so many times went and told Karna, you should not support Duryodhan. He told. Why? Because Duryodhan knows how powerful you are, and you are actually powerful. Karna was a very powerful warrior, and Bhishma knew that. And Bhishma told that because of your confidence, Duryodhan is doing all this nonsense. If you remove your confidence, Duryodhan doesn't have any capacity to do or plan for the things that he's planning for Pandavas. Only because he's seeing you beside him, he's doing all these things. He told, but he never agreed. And Bhishma was so angry on Karna that he told, when I am the captain, I don't want to see this fellow on the battlefield. But TV serials also show that because he was the son of Kunti, and Bhishma knew that. No, that's the secondary reason. Bhishma was so angry that I don't want to see you on the battlefield, because Bhishma knew this fellow is going to cause much more damage to Pandavas. He was such a warrior. He was such a unbelievable warrior. Same guru, right? Parashurama was the same guru of Karna also and Bhishma also. And he knew his capacity, but he did not like him supporting. So that is the reason devotees did not want him to be there, did not support him because of his own acts. Karna was doing certain things which was not needed. Why would Karna want to call Draupadi a prostitute? Why would he want to call him? Did she do anything wrong to him? She didn't do anything wrong to him, but he felt she did it wrong to him because she said, I'm not going to marry you. And she has every right. Swayamvar means the girl has a choice to marry. Not just because you win. Still, girl has to accept. Yes, there is a competition. Just because you win doesn't mean that she has to accept you. Still, the girl has to accept. You have to win the girl, and the girl still has to accept you. She had every right to do that. But he felt very offended. And what did she say? I don't want to marry somebody whose lineage is not known. That's what she told. And absolutely that is right. Just because you are, in kingly dynasties, lineage is very, very important. And his surname is not there. He doesn't have a surname. So how can you marry somebody without a surname, without a lineage? Though you are a king, you might be a king of Angadesh, but no. And Krishna definitely did not want her to marry him. But he became so offended that is that a good enough reason for him to call her a prostitute? Such a glorious woman who is a Shiva Bhaktini, devotee of Krishna, right? Told such a horrible thing. And actually, how many of you know that the whole idea of disrobing Draupadi was given by whom? How many of you know? The idea was given by Karna. He was the one who told Duryodhan. He suggested, that is when Arjuna became so angry that he told Karna, I'm not going to pardon you for this. He did not touch Draupadi, but he was the reason why what is it? Dushasan touched Draupadi. He was the reason, right? So Karna's acts were so bad that no devotee would like him. He was a non-devotee, and from previous life we all know he was a Rakshash in previous life who tried to do war with Naranara and Rishi. And that is why he got the Kavach and Kundal. One of the Kavach and Kundal that was left out in last life, he took shelter of sun god, and sun god told, Suryadev told, okay, you can take birth as my son, but you will not be spared by Naranarayan, who will again appear as Arjuna and Krishna. So again, Karna's thing. But what I'm trying to get to, Prabhupada and Mataji, is we should never compare any good doing people of this world with devotees. Devotees should not be compared, because devotees are at a different level, right? Service for a devotee is happiness to Krishna. Happiness to Krishna is service for a devotee. Philanthropy, devotee also does, but that he does for happiness of Krishna. Karna is known for doing philanthropy, but that was not about giving happiness to Krishna. That was his own feeling of renunciation, right? His own feeling of renunciation. Prabhupada and Matajis, you can give everything in the name of God. You can give everything in the name of God, but you'll not give yourself. That is the difference between philanthropic person and devotee. Are you understanding, Prabhupada and Matajis?
Yes, Prabhu.
Huh? I'm asking a simple question, Prabhupada and Matajis. You might, I can ask somebody in this call, just like that for the sake of discussion. Prabhu, are you devotee? Yes. Are you practicing devotion? Yes. Can you give 5 lakh rupees to Krishna?
Yeah.
Can you give 5 lakh rupees to Krishna? Huh? Yes? Yes or no? Yes. Can you give 50 lakhs to Krishna? Yes or no?
Question mark.
Yes. No, you can give. There are some people here who can give. Can you give 1 crore to Krishna? Can you give your house to Krishna? Can you give your wealth to Krishna? Now I'm going to ask, can you give your son to Krishna? No. Prabhu, ivanni teeskondi. My son should not be a brahmachari. I am not going to surrender. I will not allow my most sweetest part. For a father, son is the center of world. There are so many children who are trying to surrender to Krishna, but none of their parents are allowing them to surrender. Brahmacharis in ISKCON are struggling to convince their parents. Only devotee children are becoming peaceful brahmacharis, where devotee's son has become a brahmachari and devotee is happily allowed. Very happy you become brahmachari. But so many brahmacharis are struggling. And all these people, most of the parents, I'm not comparing and judging President Matajis. I have seen some were very good people socially, renunciate, speaking great philosophy, but right when their son became a brahmachari, they said no. No. Idi matram oddu naina. Nuvu emana doubly. You give money. You give whatever you want, but don't give your life. I want you to go to America, become software engineer. But no, never. No. So this is the difference between a devotee and a non-devotee. A devotee doesn't think before giving away anything, including his own decision-making ability. Right? What was the verse in which Arjuna told, I cannot make decisions, you make the decision for me. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhava paschyamitvam dharma samuda cheta yashreyaschan nischitam bruhitan me shishya shateham shadimam tvam prapannam. I am Karpanya doshi. I don't know what is right and wrong. You make the decision, Krishna. A non-devotee will never say that. He'll never say that. Karna gave away everything, but not himself. His ego he kept till he died. His decision not to fight against Kauravas, he kept till its death. But Arjuna changed his decision to fight against Kauravas on the order of Krishna. Do you see the difference, Prabhuji and Matajis? The big difference. Very big difference. Arjuna was filled with compassion, being a devotee. For him, giving up war was, for him, doing war was even more difficult because he was filled with compassion. Whereas Karna did not choose to do war against Kauravas only because of his ego. Only because of his ego. He never hurt to Krishna. He never hurt to Krishna. So what is there to sympathize with a person like Karna? Of course, he has some good qualities. Everybody has good qualities, but he's not a devotee. Right? When it comes to respecting, he never respected anybody. Devotees of Krishna respect everybody. Amananiya manadena. Right? Are what kind of respect? At every situation they respected. Pandavas respected Dhritarashtra also. Isn't it? Did they not respect Dhritarashtra in every situation? Before the war, after the war? Dhritarashtra was the cause for Kunti to be killed. I mean, to be planned to be killed in Varnavrat. Still, when Dhritarashtra called the Pandavas to come and do the Dyuda, only to maintain the respect of the of uncle, one of the reasons, Yudhishthir said, yes, I will go and play because I don't want my uncle to be unpleased. He is the one who told me. He's the one who took care of me as a child, our family. He's the king, emperor. So we will follow his order. Yudhishthira did not come to play the Dyuda because Duryodhan called. Because who called? Who sent the Duta to Indraprastha calling them, to call them? Dhritarashtra. Remember that. It was not Duryodhan. If Duryodhan would have called, he would have never gone. Dhritarashtra called. So Pandavas have maintained the respect at every situation. But Karna never maintained any respect on anyone. Never maintained any respect on anyone. He in fact insulted even great souls like Bhishma and Drona. Right? And finally, what kind of role did he play? Finally, what role did he play? What role did the Pandavas play? They established dharma. They played the role of establishing dharma, and Karna showed how adharma was maintained. He never played the role for Krishna, what Krishna wanted him to play. He never played. So, Prabhuji and Matajis, the summary of this lecture, I know it went a little more than budgeted time, but what I'm trying to tell, taking all these examples of reversals in devotees and non-devotees' lives, is that devotees and non-devotees also go through the reversals, but devotees are always surrendered, and you cannot compare any non-devotee in whatever position with a devotee. You cannot compare. 1 minute, I have to take this call. Hare Krishna. Sorry, that was a call from VSK, so I had to take some new trouble has started. Anyway, so Prabhuji and Matajis, the core crux of today's call, I have repeated it again and again, is that please don't compare devotees, even practicing devotees, with materialistic people. Even though devotee might have 1,000 faults in him, but he's on the path to surrender to Krishna. A materialistic person might be doing so many great things, but ultimately they are not going to surrender to Krishna. You cannot compare them. Don't compare them. That's all I'm trying to tell. And that's all even Bhishma Dev is saying, that even Krishna is there with Pandavas, still they're seeing reversals. So reversals happen both in devotees' lives and non-devotees' lives, but devotees are always glorifiable. Okay, so I'll stop it here. It's already almost 9. So any questions and comments from today's discussion? Can some of you on your cameras for a few minutes? So we'll feel as if we are together in a satsang again. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah. So any reflections? What did you feel about today's discussion?
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, we are saying that we should not compare this material person when he is doing good things. That's true. But Prabhuji, why Krishna is not giving that mind or intelligence that they can surrender to Krishna? Because they are doing materially very good things.
He is giving that intelligence to everybody, Prabhuji, but they are the ones who don't want to take it. Right? Bhagavad Gita is given to everyone, but how many people read it? Bhagavad Gita is there in everybody's house, but how many people really follow? People who have read it also are not following what to speak. There are many great speakers on Bhagavad Gita, but they don't follow the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Right? So it's absolutely the free will of the soul that it doesn't want to surrender to Krishna.
But Prabhuji, intelligence comes from Krishna only, right?
He gives the intelligence provided you desire for it. Are they really desiring for it? Right? We should desire for that Krishna Bhakti. They don't desire for Krishna Bhakti. Prabhuji, it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that people have so much to give, but they can't take just Krishna Bhakti. Right? They just can't take that one thing. Krishna doesn't want us to give him anything. He just wants us to take him. Just take me. Make me part of your life. That's all Krishna is saying. Just make me part of your life. I don't want anything from you. But people are like, I'll give everything, but no, I'll not take you. I don't want you. Duryodhan, I want your Narayani Sena, but I don't want you. तू जहां है वहीं पर है. मेरे पास मत आ. वही पांडवों के पास सड़, वहीं पर है. मेरे पास मत आ. I want your opulences, but I don't want you. That is the mentality of a non-devotee. See, this objective of this call is not to go outside and disrespect non-devotees. That's not the objective of the call. I'm not telling that you go outside, somebody is giving dana. Dana is tanavra. That is not the goal. I'm not telling that we should disrespect, we should respect everybody. Devotee respects everybody. And what to speak, actually, the people who give philanthropy are much more in a good position to become devotees in future. Right? Because they're already having that attitude of giving. One day they'll also, they will be blessed by some sadhu that they will come towards devotion. Right? They are giving. One day they'll give something to a sadhu, a pure sadhu, and he'll say, Krishna Bhakti should be given. And immediately Krishna will make them a devotee. So giving is a good thing. But what I want all of you to understand is don't compare a devotee to somebody who is just giving. You can't compare a philanthropist to a devotee. Because what a devotee does, none of the philanthropists can do. We discussed about the example of Gandhari. Ultimately, she cursed him. We discussed about that example of Karna. Right? What sympathy would you want to give Karna? Who had more painful life, Pandavas or Karna? Pandavas had much more painful life, but they were always devotees of Krishna. Karna never became a devotee of Krishna. Prabhuji and Mataji, the whole purpose of this material world is to make us a devotee. Khatam. Period. That's where it stops. The purpose of the material world is to make us a devotee. If you're not becoming a devotee of Krishna, then the whole purpose is lost. You keep rotating in the material world again and again. Come back. Go back. Right? Until we become devotee, we are going to remain here. Mother Durga is going to keep us here. The Adi Shakti is simply going to keep us here because we cannot go out unless we become a pure devotee of Krishna. Right?
Got it, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji. I know today's discussion was a little intense. Some may not like what I told. I'm sorry about that, but fact still remains that it's very difficult.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Conclusion is that we should not blame devotees. Conclusion is we should obey every time. We should not compare pure devotee and material.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In all situations, help a devotee. If a
Yeah.
devotee is struggling, if he has started his devotional life, is doing something wrong, help a devotee, but never discourage a devotee and never compare a devotee with any of the
Sometimes
outside.
we do.
Yeah.
It's
Yes,
very
Amit.
often, first often.
Yes. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah,
Amit
thank you.
Prabhu, you are saying
Hare
something.
Krishna, Prabhu. My wife has one question. She just wanted to ask.
Yes, Mataji. Hare Krishna, Mataji. Dandavata pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Yes,
Prabhuji, since a long time I have a question. It is like most of the times we talk about the free will. That Krishna has guided us, the devotees guide us, our Maharajas guide us how to progress in Krishna consciousness. And it is our free will on how, as to how we take it. But there are many instances in Shastras or stories or Bhagavatam which we hear that at times your mind is captured by someone else. And at that time, you don't act accordingly. So I want to understand that at that time, how is the free will of a person working?
Yeah, your mind is captured by somebody and that time you act something wrongly. So what is the influence of free will?
So in that case, I am not the one who is deciding about it. In that moment, I was like hypnotized by someone, or like we hear instances that Indra sat or Kali sat or somebody else sat in your mind.
Yes.
And and then some acts are happening according to that.
Yes.
Like the Ganga Sagar story also, which you were narrating that day. In that also you told that they might have thought in this way, but their mind was captured and they thought in that particular way only.
Yes. So Mataji, fundamentally, animals don't need a guru, but a human being needs a guru. Right? We need a guru.
Yes.
And guru comes in the form of Shastra and intelligence.
Yes.
Right? So many a times we all are put into that situation where because of our conditionings and influence of our mind, we might make the wrong choices. And that is when a spiritual guru plays the biggest role. And that's exactly what even Arjuna did. That when he was not sure what to do, he went to his guru, Krishna. We also should do that. We should also remember. And that is why Guru Sishya is very, very important relationship than even parents. Parents are the first guru. But parents can also be, if the parents are so knowledgeable that they're as good as Diksha Guru, nothing like it. But having a guru is very important in life. Because a guru guides us in those vulnerable situations, what one should not do. Right? So answering to your question, yes, free will is affected. Free will definitely is affected by the modes of material nature, Sattva Gun, Rajogun, Tamogun, and the past desires that the mind is carrying. But that can be regulated and controlled only when we have right association around us. Right? When people don't have good association, they'll end up making wrong decisions. See, I'll tell you a very simple thing. There might be some of the people in the satsang might be struggling to give up onion garlic. For example, I'm telling, Prabhuji, mushkil ho raha hai. But whenever they come in between devotees, it is not difficult. Whenever they're away from devotees, it's difficult. Hai ki nahi? Huh? So there is the influence of conditionings, but the devotee's presence makes it more easier. In the same way, when a guru comes into our life, which is why we say that we should always get prepared and take Diksha and get ready for a guru in our life. Because the commitment makes us stop doing things which otherwise we would have done. Same applies even to any relation, like husband and wife relationship. Before getting married, people can be tempted to do anything. But after getting married, you have a commitment. Right? The mind can, before getting married, everybody has free will. After getting married, also there is free will. But what is the difference?
They are bound. They are bound to one person, and responsibilities are there.
But where is that bound thing coming from?
From the dedication to the relationship that you are now tied up with.
And your guru, who is your guru? Your mother, your father. Your mother and father have told you that beta,
Yes.
now you are going into a marriage relationship. Be very sincere to your in-laws. Be very serving to your husband. So that's a guru. That's a guru who is telling us, and that guru is very important in life, right? And that's what I can tell Mataji, that free will is there, but we always need, because animals don't need a guru. Animals will just do what their instinct says. Khana hai, sona hai, sona hai. But a guru in human being is that's why people who take Diksha are called Dvija, second birth. And people who have not taken second birth are not even humans. I'm being a little heavy. But that is the truth. Shastra says people have to take second birth when they have taken a human birth. Is that they should perform activities under the guidance of a guru for self-realization. Otherwise, materialistic life everybody can live and make their choice according to their free will. But using the free will, Krishna never removes free will. He motivates us to use the free will for the right reason. That's what it does. Right? Okay. Sorry if I spoke anything wrong.
No. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Today's
Hare
class. Definitely, like on Karna, definitely we had all this influence, Dhara, Veera, Shura, Karna, and a lot of other things.
Karna had some good qualities, again, I'm telling you, but he's not a devotee. Yes, go ahead.
But out of maybe with still that, this many years that influence, I may ask one question, Prabhuji, to just clarify it myself.
Prabhuji, please ask any number of questions. Go ahead.
You mentioned that Prabhuji, Draupadi were like when Karna in Swayamvar, because of Karna's lineage, she did not marry, but Karna didn't have one because nobody knows, right, Prabhuji, because Karna just, he later on, like we know that he is a son of Kunti, but he didn't have lineage at that time, right, Prabhuji? Then what is like, it's not his fault, right?
Yeah.
Then is it really like, sorry. Prabhuji,
it is not his fault. Yeah, I know you're right. So Prabhuji and Mataji, there are many things here. See, right now, we in India are not seeing the importance of lineage because there is no lineage now. Kali Shudra Sambhava, all are Shudras only now. But in the past, the family lineage was very, very important aspect to select whom to marry. Because the family lineage would show how strong spiritually they are. Spirituality was one of the most important priority, right? So knowing the lineage of a person to give a daughter was a very important thing. Very important thing, right? Even though he can be a Brahmana, a Shudra also, right? Like for example, Swayambhuva Manu gave his daughter Devahuti to whom? The sage, Kardamuni. He was like, he did not even have proper clothes to wear, right? And Swayambhuva Manu is Manu. He gave his daughter, right? So, but he knew that his lineage is very great. Kardamuni's lineage is very great. So he gave. It was not about wealth. It was only about lineage. But now, today, it is more about wealth. Today, marriages only happen on wealth. Dabbulu unnaya leva. Avuna? The paisa hai nahi hai. Hai ki nahi? Now it is like that. Draupadi, she was directed by Krishna not to marry Karna. Krishna intervened, said, don't marry. He just gave a sign to her, don't do it. Right? Scriptures explain. And Draupadi was a great Krishna Bhakta, and immediately she said, okay, I'm not going to marry. But she had to give a reason why. And the reason which would not insult him was the truth itself, that he did not have a lineage. Right? And by the way, immediately after that, even Drupada, the father of Draupadi, also told that actually what my daughter is told is right. Because I would not want to marry somebody who doesn't have a lineage. I would not want to marry my daughter to somebody. Then Duryodhana became even more angry. He said, then you should not have allowed him to come to the Swayamvar in first place. If you knew that, he doesn't have a lineage, then why did you allow him to come? And right when he participated, he was going to, when you stopped him. That point can be argued. But the point of Draupadi saying no, she always had that right. And not giving people to a certain lineage is, in those days, very important. Sitting today, the importance of lineage, we cannot conceive. you know, but because now everybody is only after money, right? Money is there, that family is very good. Have you ever heard of somebody these days coming and telling, I married my daughter to this boy, he's a beggar but he's very good? You'll never hear that. You'll always hear చాలా మంచి కుటుంబం అండి. ఏ విధంగా మంచి కుటుంబం అండి? ఏ విధంగా మంచి కుటుంబం? Right? बहुत अच्छा फैमिली है. किस तरह से अच्छा फैमिली है? पैसा है, एजुकेशन है, पैसा भी है, then अच्छा फैमिली है. But in those days it was not like that. Family lineage was very, very important aspect. Father's name is very, very important aspect. But now we cannot say that much because now everybody is only after money. So there is no importance of which family you're coming from. See, a beggar is seeing the same mobile phone. Ambani is seeing the same mobile phone. You're also seeing the same mobile phone. Peon is seeing the same mobile phone. Everybody is seeing the same mobile phone. What is the difference? Everybody is seeing the same YouTube. Isn't it? There is no big difference. So in the same way, everybody are behind money. What is the big difference? No difference.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Draupadi
Krishna.
had that right to say, yeah.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, I know this is inappropriate, but I still wanted to ask you that, I mean, one of the reasons not to consider Karna as Dronacharya's Shishas is his attitude and arrogance. But how come a kid develop before going to school? He can correct it, right, Prabhuji?
What, Mataji? Shirsha Mataji, can you repeat your question?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons for Karna not to accept as Dronacharya's Shishya is his arrogance and attitude. But a kid or a student, before joining a school or anything, they might behave in different ways. But it's the duty of the teacher to correct him, na Prabhuji?
Yeah, but then Mataji, Drona cannot be compared to today's teacher. Drona could see the most inner intentions of Karna also. See, as we all know, that Karna was a demon in last life. He was a Rakshasa. Sahastra Kavaja Rakshasa. He was in last life. And he fought against Narayana and Rishis. His goal was to kill Krishna. He was such a Rakshasa. So he took a birth again as a person, as Suryadev's son, because if you know the story of past life, 999 Kavajas were removed by Nara and Narayan, coming back again and again. Just when only one Kavaja was left, he ran and he took shelter of Sun God, saying, please save me. And Sun God gave him the shelter without knowing where he came from and whom was he fighting with. After giving shelter, he told that Narayan wants to kill me. Then he said, Sun God said, who can stop Narayan from killing you? But since you have taken shelter of me, okay, you can take birth as my child. But the intentions and the mindset of past life was there in Karna. And his intentions were very clearly known, that he was very envious person. Karna was a very envious person, as a child also. And as a guru, he has the liberty of not giving education to somebody who can prove very dangerous with that education. Right? Sometimes to correct somebody, you can correct him otherwise, but you cannot correct him by giving him power also. Dronacharya was giving Shastra, not Shastra education, Astra education he was giving. He was giving the education of weapons. So he felt that why should I give education to this fellow who is so envious right from the beginning of his birth, that to weaponry thing. Let him go to a place where his envy can be corrected, to another Gurukul where Shastra is taught. But here, this Gurukul is more about Astra.
Prabhuji, in that case, then Duryodhana is also same, na Prabhuji? Dronacharya has no that, right, Prabhuji?
Duryodhana was not like that from birth. That is what is the misery. That is what is unfortunate thing. Duryodhana was not like Karna from birth. Duryodhana was made into Duryodhana by Shakuni. Shakuni is the one who completely invested his envy and his revenge towards Bhishma into Duryodhana. Duryodhana was not as bad. He was not bad from birth.
Okay.
He was the result. He was a result of his father's attachment to kingdom. He was a father's ego. Everything was, Duryodhana was like a bag of you can say a bag of dustbin, where everybody put their dust into it, and that became Duryodhana. Garbage bag. Duryodhana was like a garbage bag. But before the garbage came, it was an empty bag only. Unfortunately, he was so badly. Of course, he also had envy, but he developed that envy from birth because of because of Dhritarashtra and Shakuni mainly. And what Karna did is he told that garbage bag that you are great and I am with you. That's what Karna did. So Karna did more damage to Duryodhan than Shakuni and Dhritarashtra, because he empowered him. See, he was alone. Duryodhan was alone. He only had, some people saw his brothers and all that. But Karna is like great warrior. He is very, very chivalrous. And he came and said, I am with you. Then he became very powerful. Then he said, okay, now I am going to attack Pandavas.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Prabhuji, one question, Prabhuji. So Drona rejected to give education to Karna, right? So then why Parshurama has given education to Karna?
What is that? Parshurama.
Yeah.
Parshurama. Why Parshurama gave education to Karna is because Karna represented himself as what?
Brahmana.
Brahmana. He said, I am a Brahmana. Of course, you can tell that Parshurama knows everything. Right? Parshurama knows everything. But that's some things are little inconceivable. Why Parshurama accepted him and ultimately rejected him, saying that all this education that I gave you is not going to be useful for you. Right? Ultimately, he did the right thing. But why he gave in first place, that's Krishna's Leela, I can say at one point.
Prabhuji, this would be a lesson for us that if you take something by cheating, right, that will not help.
It will not help anyways. Yeah. So, Prabhuji and Mataji, the whole intricacies of Mahabharata are so much that when you learn Mahabharata, there are so many things which will look contradictory. But the most important thing about Mahabharata is at the end of whole Mahabharata, you should become a devotee of Krishna. That is a crux, right? Who all became devotee in Mahabharata are the purpose of Mahabharata. Who all remained non-devotees in Mahabharata, even though so glorifiable they were, it's of no use, right? Vedesya sarver aham vedyo vedanta krit vedavitevachaham. In Vedas, I am the compeller of the Vedas, I am the compeller of everything. And if ultimately after reading Vedas, if you don't become my devotee, Krishna is telling, then the whole reading of Vedas is waste. Whole Mahabharata is waste. See, what is the point of reading Ramayana if you don't become a Ram Bhakta? What is the point of reading Vedas, including Mahabharata, if you don't become a Krishna Bhakta? Right? I've personally in my life, I've seen so many people who even construct temples, but they never take up devotion. They want to do everything in the name of religion, but they'll never become a devotee. They'll never surrender themselves. They'll not surrender themselves, because surrender comes only when bhakti comes, right? And today's topic was about seeing the difference between anybody and a devotee. A devotee, even though he's heading towards that path, like all of you, you are heading towards the path toward devotion. Nobody can compare you to anybody else, because we are different. We have joined the class. We might not be perfect today, but eventually we'll become perfect. Eventually we will reach that pure devotion. Krishna will give us that pure devotion, no doubt about it. But we should not give it up. Okay. So I know others have other classes also. And even I have another class at 10:30. So thank you all for tolerating today's class. And please jot down your questions. Maybe next Sunday, if I'm continuing, I'm trying to find another speaker, some guest. But if it doesn't turn up, you may have to tolerate me again. And you can ask any unanswered question from today in the next class on Sunday. Is it okay? Or some of your evening class, if you're joining in the evening class also, we can discuss some of it. Hare Krishna. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta koti Vaishnav vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you,
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.